I do a transit report every Monday that focuses on where the sun and the earth are and the gates that they're lighting up. Sometimes I talk about different aspects as well. But if you haven't seen that yet, you can go and take a look at this playlist and check it out. But all of the planets are important, and so we're going to take a deeper dive into how you can actually use transits in planning in your life. Now, what's a transit? The transits influence, the energy is coming down through the neutrino stream, and where the planets are, where the sun is, where the earth is, are all influencing the qualities of the energy that are coming down through that neutrino stream as if they're being filtered through the human design mandala. Today I want to share with you 2 ways that you can use transits in planning so that you can be aware of the energies that are happening at any particular time and on any particular date. To be able to really plan with the transits, you need what's called an ephemeris. So this is an ephemeris that comes from Zen Human Design. If you just search for them online, you'll find them. These are really inexpensive. I think they're like $12 or something. And you can take a look at this image as to what the inside of an ephemeris looks like. And what it will give you is it'll tell you where all of the different planets are on any particular day. So it's super helpful to have one of these. You can run these on free software, but it's cumbersome and I wouldn't recommend it. I suggest you just go ahead and go and get one from Zen Human Design. And you can get one that goes for 5 years also if you want to. I just finally ordered one that was for 5 years. It's a little bigger than this one. This one is just for a year. So having your ephemeris, when you can go and pick out whatever date that you want, you can just go ahead and look through here and see what the transits are and see if it will make sense for what it is that you want to do. And you can move around until you feel like you have the right transit. So, for example, if you want to do a speaking event, you might want to look at where Mercury is and see what Mercury is lighting up and see if that makes sense and if it is affecting what's happening with your throat, because you want to be able to express through your throat, and Mercury is going to help you with your speaking. But if you want to plan a wedding, you might want to see where Venus is and how that's influencing like your G center, which is the center for love and lovability. Or you might want to see how it's influencing other important people like your beloved or other people that are involved in the wedding. So there's a lot of different nuances here, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed and feel like this is going right over your head. The main thing is just to know that you do have the ability to use human design to get a sense of what is happening on a particular day. And we're going to go in depth around a particular few days so you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about. So let's say that you already have a date picked out, or you have a relatively small window when you can pick dates. Now, this was true for me for the Women Evolving Our World conference that is happening on October 7th, 8th, and 9th. Now, when I started organizing this, I had about a 10-day window that I could pick. And so what I did is I went and I picked up my handy dandy ephemeris and I said, okay, what dates are going to be best? And that was a part of what contributed to me picking those particular dates. Now you can look at this image here in my ephemeris and you can see how I highlighted the different planets and the things that were going on during that time. Now you can see by looking at the image for the day 1, which is October 7th, you can see that the sun is lighting up the gate 48 and the earth is lighting up the gate 21. And so the gate 48 is all about wisdom and the gate 21 is all about energy mastery. And so this was great because in the pillars of feminine sovereignty, which are organizing this event, the wisdom is a key component that has a lot to do with our emotional wisdom. It has to do with the wisdom that we need in order to be able to have excellent communication, which is pillar number 6, and collaboration, which is pillar number 7, and of course for pillar number 8, which is about a benevolent attitude toward all of life. So wisdom is a really key component of feminine sovereignty and of these different pillars. Now the gate 21, which is about, it's been renamed as self-management in quantum human design. This is my number one gate, so I'm quite familiar with it. And what I like about the way that Karen has renamed is it is really about our management of our own energy. I also think of it as how we manage the different aspects of our life as well. But energy mastery is pillar number 4 in feminine sovereignty. So we really couldn't have a better configuration to kind of get us started with diving into the pillars and helping us to activate our inner wisdom and to activate our awareness of our own energy and how we can become adept with that and know how we can manage our energy and direct it where we will. Now, in the outer planets, we have an interesting configuration because they're all retrograde. They're all retrograde today, and they will still be retrograde in October. In the Human Design Transit Report that I'm doing on Monday, I'm talk a bit more about those energies of the outer planets. But right here, I just want to note that they are retrograde. And so they're actually providing this kind of pulse, which is asking us to really review where we have been with these different energies and for us to kind of slow down, pay attention, and see what's of value, what's not of value, what has worked, what hasn't worked, what do we want to revitalize, what do we want to restore, what we want to regenerate, and what do we want to reject and let go of. So the fact that the planets are here now and will be through the event means that they're creating this, like I said, this pulse that is kind of bringing us into this opportunity. Now, Saturn is in the gate 41, which is about imagination. So it's asking us to really pay attention to what we're doing with our imagination. Jupiter's in the gate 49, which is all about revolution. Pluto is in the gate 61, which is all about insight and inspiration, receiving breakthrough ideas from the flow of life. And Uranus is in the gate 2, which is reminding us to be able to be receiving and to allow. Neptune is the gate 22, so that we are surrendering into our faith. All of these outer planets are really supporting pillar number 1, the feminine sovereignty, which is about co-creating with the flow of life. So I couldn't really ask for a better support system here for the outer planets for this event that's coming up. So we took a look at what was happening on October 7th, but look what happens on October 8th. This is when the change occurs with the sun and the earth. All of a sudden, the sun is moving into the gate 57, and the earth is moving into the gate 51. But what's really interesting, as you'll see here in this image, is that there are 3 different planets now lighting up the gate 57. The sun, Mercury, and Mars. Now, these are major influences. Mercury was there on the 7th, but now Mercury's being joined by Mars and by the sun. Now, the gate 57 in traditional human design is known as intuition, and in quantum human design is known as instinct. It is on the spleen center, which is the center for instinct and intuition, the immune system, and timing. And because it is a spleen gate, it is associated with a fear. And this fear is the fear of the future and the fear of the unknown. Now, it can be very easy to fall into the fear of the future given all of the apocalyptic media that we have, the Armageddon and movies and so on. And so we want to really be paying attention to that when we're addressing kind of big issues that are happening in our world right now. And women evolving our world, feminine sovereignty, leadership, and the right use of power is specifically about us building the capacity to be able to face the big challenges that we're facing on the planet, individually, tribally, and collectively, so that we can actually engage in a meaningful way. Now, if the fear of the future is getting activated in the low expression of the 57, we're going to have a really hard time with that. So what we want to be able to do is strip away that negative thinking and that fear, which you can do easily with the spleen gates, and we want to step into our intuitive knowing instead. I did a pre-recorded bonus interview with Amanda Scott, who is a novelist and activist and podcast host who I just love. And she's writing writing a book right now that she's calling Throughtopian, which means it is a story about how we get from where we are now to the more beautiful world our heart knows is possible, to quote Charles Eisenstein. And I think that's a really important thing for us to be engaged in. And this is what the conference is all about. So for us to be able to be opening up our intuitive capacity so that we can be receiving inspiration that enables us to do that is so good for this conference. And so the fact that there are 3 major planets that are lighting up the 57, they're all saying we need our intuition. We need to be plugging into super consciousness. We need to be tapping into our inner knowing and not allowing our fear to rule us. This is very auspicious. I'm very excited about it. In addition, we have a lot of the knowing circuit. The gate 57 is in the knowing circuit, but we have 10 out of 13 planetary activations are in these individual circuits. So what does that mean? So individual circuitry, which includes the knowing circuit, the integration circuit, and the sensing circuit, are all about bringing change. They're here to be different. They're here to have breakthrough ideas, for downloads that are coming from super consciousness that are non-linear, non-logical, can't necessarily be proven. You can't research them. They're just coming in from this kind of higher creative intelligence. Individual circuitry doesn't fit in, and it is really designed to be mutative. Okay, and mutative in the sense that it's bringing in something different. Individual circuitry is what creates evolution. It's the energy in the human design chart that is it's the evolutionary impulse. And we need it in order to be able to move forward into the world that I think we can sense and we can feel and we long for, but we don't quite know the way to get there. And so the fact that we have all this individual circuitry that's being lit up while this conference is happening, and we want to have a throughtopian way of moving through the challenges that we have today, I couldn't really imagine a better alignment for us. We have so many allies in the planets that are making energies that are available to all of us. Now, I have a lot of individual circuitry already, and I have most of these gates already defined in my chart. So I'm very at home here, and I'm excited about being able to align with this and know that the people who are coming to the conference are also going to be experiencing these same energies. So for me, when I'm looking at the configuration of these days, and I'm thinking about the content and of the conference, what I want it to present, what I want people to get out of it, what I'm hoping will be created, like a kind of stimulating conversation that moves beyond what's known, that starts to open up potentials and possibilities. And that we can have a really leading edge kind of conversation that with breakthroughs. This couldn't really get better to be able to be supporting that. And as I said a minute ago, we know that we have to move through our fear of the future, which is what the 57 says is possible, right? But we know that in order to move forward into our future, we have to release our fear of it, because if we're in a deep state of fear of it, we're just not going to be that effective. Now, the other piece here is that the Earth is lighting up the gate 51. The gate 51 in traditional human design is known as the gate of shock, and in quantum human design is known as the gate of initiation. It is half of the channel of the shaman or the channel of the priestess, and it is all about initiating into higher consciousness, that we initiate ourselves and that we initiate each other. And so again, this is what we're going to be grounding ourselves in for this conference, is this ability to initiate ourselves into new perspectives, into new possibilities, into a higher frequency, and that this is the invitation that is coming to us simply by where the Earth is. We also have to watch out for the shocking aspect that the 51 can have, because that's more of the lower expression. But what we want to retain is the understanding that in order to really be initiated, in order to have a quantum shift, okay, we have to disrupt are normal. We have to disrupt the patterns that we've been in. We have to disrupt some of the things that we take for granted so that new possibilities can open up. And the energy of the 51 can provide us with the possibility of doing that. Now, I have this defined in my chart. And when I was earlier, I had a lot of shocking experiences, and I also had a tendency to shock people without really even meaning to. Or sometimes it would kind of grab a hold of me and that would happen. But as I learned human design and as I've grown up and matured, I don't do that so much anymore. So we need to be, during this transit, aware of what the 51 can do. And so when I'm in the conference, I'll be paying attention to the possibility that shocking things can be happening, and how do we turn that into something that is really more about initiation. Another thing that's happening that you may have already heard me talk about is that the 3420, which is known as the channel of the manifesting generator, is going to be defined from some weeks ago all the way through the middle of January. For me, that's very exciting because it means that my throat gets defined, and it means I have the motor of the sacral going directly to my throat. So for me personally, this is a great transit for me to be able to articulate more of what it is that I have to share. And it's also going to help all of our presenters be able to do that. It's going to help our participants to be able to do that. And so all of these pieces are adding up to a very auspicious transit. So honestly, as I dug more and more into what the transits were for these few days, I got more and more excited about the conference. And if this piques your interest, I encourage you to check it out. There's a video here that's on my YouTube channel that you can watch. I will also put the link to the conference down in the description, so you can go check it out if you want. I invite you to join us if you do feel called to be there. It's free, and you can purchase recordings if you can't make the whole thing. So for you, when you are doing this for yourself, you need to make sure you have an ephemeris so you can dig into what the specifics are. You can run the charts of those days in the free human design chart software if you want to. I do find the ephemeris to be more useful, but it's really up to you. You're also going to need a way to know what's happening with the gates. I like to recommend this book. It's a little bit on the older side now. It's Understanding Human Design by Karen Curry Parker. And she's going to be replacing this with her Quantum Human Design book. So this is more traditional human design, but it has all of the gates in it if you would like to use this one. I also like to recommend this book, which is a companion to Karen's new Quantum Human Design cards that has all of the gates. And so this companion has all of the names of the Quantum Human Design gates in it as well. So I use both because I sometimes like to look at the traditional human design. You might want to look at the Quantum Human Design, but this will give you that information. The other thing you're going to want is you're going to want a copy of your own chart. So you're going to want to be able to see what happens with a particular transit in your own chart. So as I said a minute ago, for me, I already have a lot of these gates defined, so it's not going to make a huge difference for me, but that 20 being defined is going to make a big difference for me. So you want to take a look at that. And then, like I said, if you're planning something, like if you're doing something with a business partner and the two of you are going to put on an event, you want to see how it's affecting their chart as well. Or if you're planning a wedding, you want to see how it's going to be affecting the chart of your beloved or the other people in your family, or whatever it might be. If you have a retreat that you're planning and you're having clients come to that, you might even want to look at all of their charts and see how that's going to influence them. There's really no limit to how you can use the charts of the people that you know and of yourself, and then also together with an ephemeris. And when you do that, you will really get a lot more understanding about human design. I hope that taking a deep dive into the transits for a couple of days for an event, looking at the content, looking at the purpose, looking at the alignments and seeing how that all works together and why that was auspicious for me for this event, I hope that helps you to be able to then go take that same kind of a process and then apply it to things that you're planning in your life. I hope that you fall in love with human design and you start using it both for planning and as a transformational tool in your own life. Of course, reach out to me for any support that I can provide you with. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Many blessings, much love. Bye for now.